कि अगर 10 नंबर आए हैं रिटर्न में तो 100 नंबर दे दो इंटरव्यू में। अगर आपके घर में कहीं वो डोमेस्टिक हेल्प का काम करता रहा है तो उसको लगा दो। और या फिर किसी ने रिटर्न में 100 लिए हैं अंक तो उसको 10 दे दो इंटरव्यू में, तो उसको नौकरी से वंचित कर दो। But this was a revolutionary decision. But the people here, the boys, the youth, even their parents were not used to it. तो उन्होंने सोचा चलिए धरने में बैठते हैं तो कुछ ना कुछ निकल गया। और हम ही लोग जाने लग गए उनके पास। और क्या होता है कि जब कोई आगे माइक लेके आता है तो दिल करता है बोलना ज़रूर है कुछ, नहीं तो ये मीडिया वाले कहते हैं साहब ये नालायक है, या कहेंगे इसके पास जवाब ही नहीं है, और हम उसी में बहलावे में आ जाते हैं। हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि वो अपनी नौकरी कर रहा है, मैं अपनी नौकरी करूँ। तो हम बार बार जाके धरने पर जाके हाथ भी फेरते थे पीठ पे, कहते थे कि हाँ साहब क्या कहा आपने, बच्चों से इतने दिन से बैठे हुए आपने क्या कहा। हम इनको आश्वासन देते हैं कि इनकी नौकरी जरूर लगेगी। नाउ आई हैव स्पोकन टू द मीडिया, आई हैव नॉट कम्युनिकेटेड, एंड फॉर द टाइम बिंग दिस इज अ विन-विन सिचुएशन। The person who came to take my bite has made his day. His boss would be happy that there is a bite which is going to run. And I'm happy that I'm going to see my face whole day. No one else is bothered to see my face. But at least I will see. But if I had communicated, if I had learned the nuances of communication, then I would have told the boys कि बेटा अब निज़ाम बदल गया। वो ज़माना गया यहीं पर जम्मू कश्मीर में हमने देखा सुना, सिगरेट की डिब्बी पर लिखकर नौकरी लगती थी। अब ऐसा नहीं होगा। एंड आई टेल यू, आई वॉज हेयर ऑन अ विजिट टू जम्मू, अ बॉय केम एंड फेल एट माय फीट, टीचर, आई आस्क्ड व्हाट इज दिस हैपनिंग। तो मुझे युवा मोर्चा के लड़के ने कहा कि ये लड़का आपसे मिलना चाह रहा था। कह लगा साहब 2 बार मैं फेल हो गया सिर्फ इंटरव्यू की खातिर, और ये आपने जो ख़त्म किया मुझे आज नौकरी मिली। तो मैंने कहा बेटा हम तो इतना बड़ा पाप करते रहे, इसका मतलब तो बजाय इसके हम उन धरने पे बैठे बच्चों को समझाते कि भाई अगर इसी तरह धरने बैठोगे तो अगली बार भी रिटर्न में आपको दिक्कत आएगी, कोई किसी की मदद नहीं कर पाएगा इसमें। इट्स ऑल रिटन एंड दैट टू ऑन द कंप्यूटर मोड इट इज गोइंग, और यू ट्राई अदर मोड्स ऑफ लाइवलीहुड व्हिच आर इन प्लेंटी नाउ। वी हैव स्टार्टअप मूवमेंट इन दिस कंट्री, ऑलरेडी वी हैव 90,000 startups employing 9 lakh people. We have 108 unicorns, out of whom 36 unicorns are led by 1 or 2 women, co-founder or founder. The huge, much more. हमने वो नहीं समझाया, हमने आसान काम ढूंढा, हमने आश्वासन दिया, ये जानते हुए कि मैंने अपने आप से भी झूठ बोला इस बच्चे से। That is where Dr. Pathak you have to step in, because where the requirement of communication remains unfulfilled because of the expediency of our professional constraints. Secondly, पुराने ज़माने में एक डिक्टम होता था, रिपोर्ट इज सेक्रेड, comment is privilege. So the person on the spot has not to get carried away by the heat of the incident, or the heat of the sentiment of the incident, or get carried or get affected by it. He has to report it as it is, and then of course the op-ed page or the editorial page has the privilege to follow the line that has been following, and that would keep the report at least saved from being affected by any kind of bias. Now that also does not necessarily, because I have, ऐसा है कि I never went to a mass communication school, but ये क्या होता है कि जब आदमी फॉर्मल पढ़ाई नहीं करता तो ज़्यादा पढ़ लेता है सेल्फ एजुकेशन में। because my formal education in English language was hardly class 11, but then I self-educated myself and read all the Tagore and all R.K. Narayan and all, then could also, as Arun is saying, could write at least to an extent that it was readable. So communication may be, these are small things which are not understood, which are not explained, is a skill. The reporting is not carrying any bias, but that does not mean that you don't, as a good reporter, you do not have an icing on the cake that will show your superior talent compared to your counterpart. So there have been also reporters who would give a tilt to the intro, to the caption, in the fashion that it becomes attractive. Now I'll give you an example for that. Somewhere in the first half of the 20th century, the then Pope from Rome was on his first visit to Paris. And it made a big news. So when he arrived at Paris, some representatives from the church went to receive him. They were accompanying him down to the destination. Some of the newspaper reporters also following him because that was the print media time. And these escorts who were accompanying him, from stop to stop or from place to place, they would tell him, "Father, this is the colony where the railway officials live." Then they would go to another spot. In the course of the driving, would say, "Father, this is the most popular market of Paris. Father, this is where the government officials of the ministry live," whatever, etc., etc. So while passing through one spot, one of the escorts says, "Father, this is the area which is known as red light area because a number of sex workers live here." So the father spontaneously says, "Oh, what do you believe? How many sex workers should be living in Paris?" And the smart reporter frames the news, which gets printed in next day's newspaper with the following headline: "Pope arrives in Rome, comma, inquires about sex workers." No, factually and technically this is not wrong. Also, the boy is not carrying any bias. There might be some issues of ethics, which I am not going into it. But the problem arises when the reporter becomes an activist and starts carrying the bias. And therefore, and this is more, I think the risk has got multiplied after we entered into this era of electronic channel. The morning meeting is decided at 9 o'clock we have to have this debate. And these boys are pushed into the field. Go and collect bytes to develop the story by 9 o'clock. So they are under tremendous pressure. Because the debate has to happen, their slot is already earmarked. And we saw this happening even in COVID times. But now when there is no issue, to build up an issue, both the person working in the field is under pressure and the bias is manufactured and the news gets manufactured. In the process, they learn to have some kind of a political leaning as well, as Dr. Pathak was saying. Sometimes it happens over a period of time. Because we have again forgotten to demarcate between a genuine political leaning or a genuine ideological leaning to which every individual is entitled, even if he is a journalist, even if he is an unbiased media person or a communicator, he has his right to decide which ideology he subscribes to. But that is different. And the example is that of Hindustan Times when the earlier Birla